right, welcome back, guys. We're dealing with chapter 7 now on how we can customize QuickBooks, okay? So once again, this chapter it's only 24 pages because this chapter, it doesn't give you the section about the items. Now, customizing QuickBooks is pretty cool. However, I'm going to let you know right here and right now that customizing, it's not that great. Okay, there are a few features that you can do, but I don't know what's the purpose of this. It's not that great. But anyways, let's go ahead and go through each one and have you guys go through what the preferences are and how we can customize QuickBooks. Okay, we're going to start off with the very first thing is, what's the difference between a user preference and a company preference. Okay. So the first thing is that when we talk about preferences, you can choose between a user preference or a company preference. The user preference is going to be whoever is currently on the desktop accessing the file. That is called the current user. Okay, so for example, right, if you guys remember when we set up users, the one that we did was we set one for the admin, and yesterday we set up one for the human resources. That is exactly what user preferences does. It does it for whoever's currently on the computer and that's accessing the file. That's the user preference, okay? And then we have what's called company preferences that actually, basically, it's a preference or a change that goes, that pretty much is for every single file. As in, you set it on one profile and it basically changes everybody's view of the actual company file. So you're making a change that goes through the entire file itself, so that when anybody accesses it, they all have that same exact preference. Okay. Now, the cool thing about user preferences, it allows you to kind of be a little more unique in a sense where it allows you to make QuickBooks comfortable and make it more, I guess, easier for you to access the file, okay? And we're going to talk about what are some few key things that you can do to set user preferences to see how you like to use the QuickBooks instead of have it set for the whole company profile, okay? Now, before we even get started, right, today we're going to practice how to open up another portable file again, okay? So, like I've mentioned before, when you read the book, at the very beginning, after you read through the topics of what you're going to be learning in this chapter, it tells you right here in a box that this chapter will be using customizing 21 QBW, okay? And the password is going to be Questiva21, okay? So every chapter will have this box. So if you guys asked me yesterday about setting up the company file, every single chapter has its own task, its own portable file that you have to be using. So in this case, this is for practice purposes only. You don't need to create one to continue going on forth with the next chapter. Okay, so every single chapter is going to have its own individual lesson plan set for you. So in this case, we are going to be looking at customizing 21, all right? So once again, back to this main gray screen page. Now, what you notice is that now it looks a little different, right? Now, on my list here, I have things that I've accessed previously, right? Yesterday, I created 2 company files. I've also opened up, a file called Setup21. They're all there. So what this does is it's kind of like if you want to access your file that you just recently opened, you could just double click on it and just enter the password and you can just start continuing from where you left off. But in this case, I'm opening up a new portable file. So once again, I'm going to go ahead and go right into the middle. It says to open an existing file. I'm going to click on that. right? My options here is I want to open up a portable file. Make sure you select the ones that you want, because oftentimes a lot of students, what they do is they don't see this and they just press next. We're not opening a working data file. We are opening a portable file. Okay? So then we can go ahead and click next. So when we click next, now we need to locate where that portable file is. In most cases, right, wherever you downloaded that student portable files, right, that little folder that has all the little portable files for you to be able to access, right, is going to be where you save it to. So in this case, I saved it to my documents under LVPDA, which is going to be under the QuickBooks class, which is under another folder called the student portable files, okay? And now I'm going to actually locate it. So it's going to be in alphabetical order, so customizing. So we got customers, we need customizing, okay? So customizing 21, perfect, okay? And I'm going to double click on it for customizing 21. Now it's going to ask me, I need a place for it to open up, but also to save a working data file. So I'm going to go ahead and click next, and this is where you have to select a folder, because in this case, it's going to automatically try to save it into the local C drive. Now again, if you know anything about computers, laptops, or anything, if you're not the sole owner of this computer, you weren't the one that set it up, you will not be able to have access to make changes to the C drive. So that's why I always recommend just create a folder somewhere. It could be on your desktop, it could be anywhere in your documents, and save it there, okay? So in this case, right, if you guys remember from yesterday, I have created a folder for just your class. It's under the same links, except this time, instead of clicking the student portable files, I have it under PM QuickBooks class to July 6th, okay? So here you guys are. This is the files that I've saved so far, all right? And I'm going to go ahead and click save. Now, once I've done that, depending how fast your internet is and how much random access memory you have, it will depend on how quickly this will load, okay? So once again, it's going kind of quick, kind of slow, just because we are using a streaming platform. So it is going to slightly take a little longer, okay? So we're waiting for the green box to be filled all the way. And what it essentially doing is it is basically taking the portable file and it's decompressing it, making it big again, and basically setting up everything that it was set. All right, so all the lists that were in here, it's being unveiled right now. So now here I have this window that says, hey, you need to add in a password. So once again, the password is revealed on the Google Class, the password is actually revealed in the book. It says that we are looking at Questiva, Questiva 21. Make sure you check if your cap locks are on. It is case sensitive. And then you're going to click next. Okay. Oh, it says that my password is wrong. Okay, well, because I have my cap locks on. So, cap locks off. Capital QUESTIVA 21. And there you go. Perfect. Now it tells me this, that it may need to be updated, and I'm going to click yes, okay? You definitely want to make sure that your file is updated to the most recent one, just because if you don't, there could be a potential of a bug on a specific transaction. So it's very important that you do update your file, especially because these files were probably created last year. We're in the middle of 2021, so there could be many updates that have been released. So that is why it asks you to update it, right? And as we wait patiently, it should be loading any minute now. Okay. All right. Mm-hmm.
I have a question.
Go for it.
I had gotten a notification from OneDrive. It says remove files from OneDrive. And it says you recently deleted 299 files or moved those files out of your OneDrive folder to this device. Do you want to remove them from OneDrive? And it says remove or restore.
Okay, so
Aren't
you're,
those the ones I'm using?
I'm sorry?
Aren't those the files I just opened? I'm working with you. I've got a split screen.
Okay. Yes, it can be because if you downloaded those files and it's on your jump drive right now, yes, it is also using the cloud to kind of help you store your memory. So that's like one of the things too. So we can ask you that. Now that's up to you. If you want to move it, maybe you don't have enough storage in your cloud. So you may try want to using it on the actual local disk itself, like actually on the computer itself instead of your jump drive.
I
Okay.
I'm doing a split too, but my screen went to the home. So how I go to the accountant center like you are?
What do you mean by the accountant center?
You are in a I see accountant center. Accounting. I'm at
Um,
home.
are you on the gray screen where you need to open up a file?
No, I already did everything what you did. I'm at home.
Okay, that's perfect because this page right here I don't need.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to close this and now I'm on my home page.
Okay.
Okay, I don't need that screen. I just need the home page. The accountant center, because if you have the accountant's version, it will pop up here and there. It just basically gives you your reminders and things like that, okay? But in this case, I don't need it. I just need to focus on my home page. Right? So here we have it, the home page, the icon bar on the left, and the menu bar at the top, okay? That is our QuickBooks interface. Okay? Now let's talk about those preferences that we talked about, right? There are a couple ways that you can set preferences. Now, if you're setting preferences for the user itself, you have two ways that you can do it, right? Now, when we're talking about preferences itself, we're talking about setting up. So, if you guys remember that from the Easy Step interview, where we were asked, do you charge sales tax? Do you sell a product? Do you do you um, charge sales tax? Do you want to do estimates? Do you want to do all of those? Those are all going to be under the edit menu for the preferences. Okay. Now, if you're talking about the actual file itself, right, those could be found under your company preferences, right? Anything that you need to do, such as modify your users, set up, change your passwords and things like that, set up the closing date, which is important, right? That's definitely important for this file. So that's going to be all on under the company menu bar. Okay, so there are the two things that you can do for preferences. Okay, now once again, when we're talking about actual preferences in QuickBooks, we're actually talking about the edit menu bar and the preferences, right? Because once we come to this window right here, this is the list of all the categories that you can change for either the user profile or the company profile, okay? And that's why we have tabs at the top that says My Preferences. My Preferences meaning the current user. So I'm currently using this file. And then we have company preferences, okay? So once again, my preferences or user preferences is going to be based on whoever's currently using the file, okay? So in this case, I can make actual custom personal changes for my profile by selecting and making these personal changes, okay? Now let's take a look because not every category is going to have something for my preferences, okay, or user preferences, right? If I click on this one, bills, nope, there's just nothing you can do there. If I click on this one, there are a few things that you can change, right? So in this case, as a user preferences, it will be completely different than your company preferences. So let's take a look at accounting, right? I have only one thing here, but if I actually go to company preferences, I have like 10 more things I can do. All right. So that's the difference between my preferences and company preferences, is that there are things that you can do to customize the person that's currently using it, but versus someone that's trying to make like a change that is for all the files. Okay. It doesn't matter who's using it. It's going to be on the file itself. Okay. Now let's talk about the very first one here is, let's go to talk about the desktop view, okay? Well, in this case, right, that's actually going to be more concerning about the actual home page. So the question is, how do I customize my home page, right? So every question that we asked in the Easy Step interview pretty much basically built our home page. Okay, so what do you mean by that? All right, so when we went through the interview, if you said that, yes, I keep track of inventory, that is exactly why they built this little transaction here, this little web thing here for inventory, because you said, yes, I keep track of inventory. We also said, yes, we keep track of bills. That's why it appears, right? We said yes to statements. So that's why we have this right here. All right. Now, for any reason that you decide to ever change that and say, no, I don't use inventory anymore, or no, I don't use statements anymore, that's where you would have to manually have to change it by going to edit and you go to preferences, right? But in this case, if I were to customize my home page just like that, I would have to select on the topic, right? For example, this would be a display view kind of thing. And let's say I don't do sales receipts and I don't do statement charges or anything like that. And I click OK. The window's going to say, well, the current window that you're using needs to be changed. And I say OK. So if I click on my home page one more time, notice this. I no longer have my statements. Okay? I no longer have my sales receipt because I got rid of it. Okay? That is how you can customize your home page. Okay? And that is a company preference. Okay? Now, I'm going to go ahead and undo that because that's definitely something that we do need to have as far as customizing the home page and whatnot. So I'm going to go ahead and activate that once again. Okay. So that's just customizing the home page. Now, before we move on to that, let's talk about how the user can be able to make their changes as well. Now, as I've mentioned before, the user preferences are not that great. Okay, so let's take a look at display view one more time. And this time, let's take a look at what my choices are. Okay, so I have a few things that I can customize as a person who is using the current company file. First thing we have here is using either one window or multi-windows. Okay. Okay. So if I'm taking a look at viewing my screen, so this is talking about how I view my QuickBooks screens. Do I want to have only display one window at a time, or do I only want to show multiple windows at one time? Now, what does that mean? Okay, I'm going to show you the difference right now. So right now it's under multi windows, right? So if I want to have a bill open, all right, I can have a bill open, right? If I want to have my check, if I want to have a sales receipt open, excuse me. If I want a bill receipt to be open, I can, right? If I want to create my invoices, I can, right? This is multi-window display, right? I can have multiple windows open at one time. Now, obviously, especially when you're trying to transfer information from one screen to another, this is very, very useful, okay? But, however, you can't enter multiple transactions at one time, It doesn't work that way. You have to focus on entering your bill first. Make sure that you save the changes, and then go to your invoice and then complete your invoice there. But this is multi-window feature. As in, I can see everything at once. I can organize it in a way where I can, minimize, maximize my screens, and so on and so forth. Okay? But taking a look at the screens now, if I have to shrink them up and stuff, it actually causes you're going to have to like drag, make them bigger, make them smaller, make them fit your screen. It actually it's not very productive. Okay, it's not a really productive way. This is only for if you are trying to enter in a bill and you forget how much something is, then you can go back and refer to it. Okay, that's the only reason that would be necessary to be able to use this. Now, it's also could be a way if someone's mind likes to be disorganized. This is a great way, right? And in order for you to view all these, right, you can either minimize or click on them and they'll activate. Or if I need the bill, then there it is. But if I need the invoice, there it is, right? It's all on one page, okay? Now, let's go ahead and see what happens if I were to switch it up to view it as a single window mode, okay? So I go ahead and click OK, right? Now, here you go. I cannot move it. I cannot move my windows anywhere. I can only focus on one window at one time, okay? And that right there, right? You could see this could be very useful because then you're only focusing on one thing at a time instead of being cluttered and jumping from one page to another. Okay? But in this case, I'm focusing on one screen at one time. And in order for me to be able to go access to the other screen, I would actually have to close them out. So I would have to close them out, and there you go. Now I have my bill. I don't need my bill anymore. Then there's my home page. So in this case, it's just a user preference. So if you feel more productive by having multiple windows, then select it. But if you feel more productive of having only one screen at one time to focus on, then go ahead. That's a user preference right there. Okay. I like to keep it multi-window so then when you guys have questions or anything, I can just jump right to that page easily. Okay. Then the second section here is going to be desktop, okay? So here are a few things that you can do when it comes to opening or closing the program. So the first one here is save when closing the company file. So again, we talked about this, right? What does this mean? So every time you enter in a transaction, right, it is automatically saved. But what happens sometimes is I will close it and it will give me that message. Would you like to save this transaction? Then I would say yes, right? This is a preventative measure so then you don't lose your work every time you just decide to just up and close the program, okay? So that's definitely something I would like for QuickBooks to ask me all the time. Would you like to save these changes? Okay?
Can I ask you something?
Yes.
When you put into it and say if you want to back up the information, you're supposed to back up or no?
That's also a preference too. Like, do you want to back up your company? Now, in this case, this is for practice purposes only. You don't have to back up anything in this class just because, we can always open up the file again and just keep redoing it over and over and over again. But that's just because if you are a real company, you definitely don't want to lose a transaction. You don't want to lose the work that you've invested. So, yes, I know that window you're talking about. It will tell you, yes, please do it for me, or don't, no, I'll do it myself.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And then you could say, no, I'll do it myself.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So then, here we are. The next one is to save the current desktop. So, what does that mean? So, if I am a person who is at the office, right? And I'm not the only person who uses the computer. Maybe we do in shifts, right? I'm the morning shift, then someone in the afternoon comes in and they take over. That's where this question is going to be coming into play, because it's saying, do you want to save the current desktop? So that every time you close your file, right? If you're in the middle of a transaction and it's the end of your day and you want to come back to it tomorrow morning, then that is definitely something you want to have there. But if you have someone who is always going to be using your computer as well, then you definitely don't want them to display what you are currently working on, right? Because then they have to take the trouble to have to close the windows themselves and start over from where they need to go. Okay, so if you're currently working on a bill and you decide to turn off your computer and call it a day, and then someone walks in and opens up the file, they see that you're working on a bill, they have to close it themselves manually and then do what they have to do. All right, so that causes troubles for everyone else. But the best thing that you want to do is, if you are the sole person who only touches your computer, then that's a good option, because then if it's 5 o'clock, you're done with the day, you clocked out, you want to come back to this screen tomorrow in the morning when you clock in at 8 o'clock, then that's the best option there to save the current desktop of whatever transaction you left off on. Okay, and then the last option here is going to be don't save the desktop. So again, most cases, if you are not the person that is the only person that uses the computer, you definitely don't want to save it. Okay. So that's obviously those 3 options right there to see what you want to save. So a lot of things is about saving. So do you want to save the current screen? Do you not want to save the current screen? Or do you want to save it when you close? All right. Then the next option down here says show home page when opening a company file. So this is a default setting, okay? As you notice, every time you open up a portable file, company file, right, it automatically shows you the home page. Okay, now this is a feature, once again, is a default setting. So then no matter what you're doing, it's gonna pop up. The first thing that's gonna pop up is the home page. Now you can also change that setting, because maybe you find it annoying. Maybe you don't need to go to the home page right away. You rather just see whatever window that you left off on. Then you can easily check mark this off. Now, for the sake of this class, and it's also a default setting, I prefer to, every time I open up my window, I want the home page to display, because that's exactly where I need to start off every single day. Okay? So that's a little feature there. Right? Then the next feature that you can customize is going to be the appearance on your icon bar. Now, I will actually talk about this later on when we talk about customizing the icon bar. Okay, because this feature right here, it says switch to colored icon when you put at the top of the window. We'll talk about what that means when we get to customizing the icon bar. Okay, and then the last section, or I guess last 2 sections here. The next section is going to be your display screen as well as your sounds, okay? So once again, if you actually click on here, this actually goes into your actual computer settings itself. So for example, right now, my screen is, I think it's at 150% versus 100%. So that's why a lot of my screens are a lot bigger. The icons are a lot bigger, because I set it this way. Well, one, because I'm teaching you this. I need you to be able to see what I see, okay? And it also makes it easier, so then when you're learning these things, you can actually see the icon versus have to squint your eyes to see what I'm doing, okay? So in this case, the display, if you click on any of these settings here, it will take you to your actual computer laptop settings itself, like the actual computer itself. So if you want sounds on, it will go right into your computer and help you set up the sounds that way. Okay, so then again, this section right here is where you're customizing not only QuickBooks, but you're actually setting up your actual computer preferences as well. Okay. And then last but not least, so this is what I mean by your choices of preferences are not that great. Okay, here you have an option where you can change color schemes or color schemes, right? So this says here that you can change the company file color scheme. All right. Now let's take a look at this because this is funny. Let's say I want my company, I prefer on mine end that I want my stuff to look pink. If I click on that, that is all you're going to get. Only this menu bar, the top part, is pink. Everything else is standard. Everything else is green. Everything else is exactly the same. The only thing you have here as far as a preference is you're only changing the top heading of every single window. And I'm sorry, QuickBooks, but that's not very user, that's something that doesn't make me very happy about is I'm only changing that. It doesn't matter to me, okay? Now again, this could be something for your company, right? If your company is representing a specific color, right? Every company has their own specific color to kind of, catch people's eyes or a catchphrase that catch people's attention. Same thing here, right? In this case, Imagine Photography, I believe their color is maroon. So you can set that as a company preferences that can display throughout everybody's profile. Now, but again, since this is my computer, I think the purple blue is the best one. Actually, not that one. The purple blue is my favorite one. Simple, easy, straightforward. But once again, that's all you can do, okay, as far as customizing QuickBooks to your advantage. Not much. All right, any questions there?
No.
All right, so yes, that's all you can do. Everything's already, it's still green because Intuit or QuickBooks, their program color is green. So that means everything is still going to be green. The only accent that you are able to have is just that heading. Go ahead, you had a question? Okay. So when we talk about the difference between the preferences, right? So as we go through each chapter and each section here, this allows us to toggle between the preferences, whether it's using the company preferences or user preferences, right? Majority of this class is going to be primarily focused on company preferences. So every chapter, you're going to be introduced, if you don't have this, then here's how you can set it up. So if you guys remember from yesterday, right? A company preference could be whether for my chart of accounts, do I want to use account numbers or not? All right. So most, like I mentioned before, most of the company preferences are going to either change your home page, okay? And that's the only way that you can customize your home page is by setting those preferences, okay? So once again, I'm going to show you another one that will be the most obvious is, let's focus here, right? Let's take a look at this inventory section right here, right? It's at the top of the window under vendors, right? You got the purchase orders, you got the received items for inventory, and then you have the enter bill against inventory, right? So if I were to go ahead and make a company preference to say that so in this case, it says items and inventory. Okay. And I go to company preferences and I say I don't actually keep track of my inventory, right? And I click OK. It's going to change the home page real quick. And then when the next time I display my home page, that whole section is gone because I'm telling QuickBooks I don't even use inventory. So there's no point for you to have to display it on my home page because that's a transaction I will never use. All right, so that's how you can customize your home page, but also customize QuickBooks in a way that you're telling QuickBooks, hey, this is what I need and this is what I don't need. Okay, so if you guys remember the Easy Step interview, all those questions that you were answering all basically fit all of these categories right here. Okay, it's this and more. Okay, you just have to know which topic that you're looking at, and once again, every single chapter we will be looking at least one or two of these preferences here. Okay. So once again, I'm going to go ahead and activate my inventory once again so I can have that back on there on my home page. Okay. And that's how you customize the home page, but also customize company preferences. Right? Any questions? Right? How are we doing on time?
It's no notification here.
Okay. All right. So now that we talked about the home page, which the book indirectly talks about, right? But if you actually are setting up your preferences, you are essentially customizing your home page. Okay. So the next section here is going to be talking about customizing your icon bar. Okay. So there's actually, this part is actually pretty cool. I actually like being able to customize the icon bar. Okay. So let's take a look at that. So the first thing that we talk about is, once again, the icon bar is going to be at the left panel, and what it does is it's a shortcut to either specific things like centers, inventory centers, the bank center, the income tracker, the bill tracker, right? There's a lot of useful shortcuts that you can take and you can use under the icon bar, okay? It's just a way to be able to access information so you're able to enter in a transaction, okay? But in this case, right, how am I going to customize my icon bar? Well, there are a few ways. Let me talk about how you can actually view the icon bar, right? So, for any reason, right, you don't want to display your icon bar, yes, you can hide it, especially when you're dealing with multiple windows or you're trying to enter in a transaction and you want to maximize the visibility of each window, okay? Because let's take a look at it. Let's face it, when we're looking at this left panel takes up a lot of space on my window. All right, if I tap in, I want to enter in a bill, I may have to drag it here and there just so it could fit in my window. But in this case, right, I can actually hide my icon bar, right? There are a couple ways you can hide it. You can actually like completely get rid of it by going to view, and then you can actually click on hide icon bar. So there, it's completely gone, doesn't exist. So you can continue doing your functions as far as what you want to do here. It's gone. You can't even access it at all. Unless you go to view and you unhide your icon bar. Oops, in this case, I have to choose one of the choices. So in this case, left panel, okay? Now, of course, if you don't want to hide your icon bar because maybe you deem to see it's useful, then you can, up here at the very top, you have this little collapse bar. If you click on that, it will collapse it, so then it is essentially still there, but it allows you to maximize your window space, okay? And if you need to access the icon bar, you just uncollapse it, just like that, by that little button right here, okay? That's another way that you can view your icon bar. Now, the next one I wanted to show you is that, let's say I don't like it on my left side of the panel. I'd rather have it somewhere else. Well, your only option is either left, or you can have it at the top of the bar, okay? Now, I'm going to tell you this because I find this kind of baffling as well. What's the point of going to your customer center here at your icon bar when you can simply go to customers on your windows and go to the customer center? That is why I find this feature ridiculous, is that What's the point of putting this at the top of the bar when you can easily access everything on the icon bar through your menu bar? Okay, now that's my opinion here, but once again, if you find it easier to be able to access to the vendor center instead of having to go to vendors and then click center, then that's okay too. So once again, as you can see here, it is at the top of my my window. Now, if you guys remember that one preference that we were talking about, okay, if I click that display view, right, and I go ahead and click on this option right here to show colored icons for the icon bar when it's on top, I'm going to click OK. Now it is colored. Okay, the background is white and the icons are colored. So this could be a visual preference. Okay, but once again, if I decide to switch it up and place it on my left side, it doesn't even matter because it just goes right back to being blue with light blue icons. So it doesn't matter at that point whether you change it or not. It's still it's convert right back to its original colors and stuff. If you decide to switch it back to the left side panel. Okay, so that's how you can view the icon bar. Not too much great, but it gets you through. Okay. Now we're gonna talk about how to customize it, because customizing it is one of the things. So if there's a feature on here that you need, or a shortcut that you want to have, then this is how you customize it, right? Anywhere on the icon bar, you can right click on it and it says it allows you to customize. Okay, so anywhere on it, right click, you can customize it. Or just like what the book says, you could go to view on the menu bar and you can go ahead and customize the icon bar. Okay. Once you've clicked that, you should get this window right here that allows you to customize everything that you want on the icon bar. So in this case, right, this right here is the list of what you actually currently have on the icon bar, right? You have home at the top, you have my company right under it, then you have a bill tracker, then you have your calendar. You have it in this exact order, and that's what it is listed here, okay? And if you want to add something to it, you just simply click on add. If you want to edit it, then you can edit the name, you can edit the title, you can edit the icon itself, or you can actually delete it. This one, you can delete all you want here because this is a personal preference. This is how you're customizing QuickBooks in a way that it makes it easier for you to enter your transactions. Okay? But in this case, a few things that I'd like to add would be a calculator. That'd be useful, right? So I'm going to go ahead and click add. Now here it's going to give you a list of every single detail that you can possibly think to have to add onto your icon bar, right? But in this case, I'm just looking for a calculator. Okay? Once I click on that, I have this option to choose. I have this option, this option, this option, this option. Well, I'm obviously going to choose this one. And the label that I want to say, so if I want it to display right now, if I saved it, it would display as calc. No, I want the whole word, calculator. Okay? Okay? And again, the icon is a calculator, description is a calculator. All right, and I'm going to click OK. Now, when I add it, it's going to be dropped all the way at the bottom of my list. Now, just exactly like how we did our chart of accounts, if you see very closely this tiny, tiny, tiny black diamond, you can actually move your icons across and make it in the order that you'd like. So, for example, I want home page to be at the top, but I want feedbacks, I want all of that to be at the very bottom. I actually prefer to have my calendar, my calculator. I want my calculator to be the second thing on there. Okay? I want my, let's see what else I have here. Oops, I'm not even at the at the top, so I'm going to bring that all the way up. Okay? Nope. There you go. Calculator. I want calculator to be at the bottom, the second thing that appears underneath my home page, right? And let's say I want my calendar to come next because calendars are very important, right? That's definitely something I want to keep track of. I definitely want to have my income tracker and my bill tracker next. My company can go at can go after all of that. So in this case, we're moving them up and down by just clicking the black diamond and dragging them up and down. Okay, and though exactly as you are doing it, and you could see on the side of your panel, it is actually viewing it for you, so you can kind of see, oh, that actually looks nice, right? And then I'm gonna go ahead and let's say I don't need to add a payroll, so I'm gonna delete that. Okay, and let's say I don't need feedback. I'm gonna delete that. Okay. And let's say, what if I don't want my company on here? I want to change it, right? You can always edit anything at any given time. So if I want to edit what it looks like, I can do that. I can also edit the way it says on my window, right? If I want to say my comp, you can have that. But in this case, I'm just going to click cancel because I don't need to change anything. So that's the order that I'd like my stuff to be. You can even add breaks. So as you can see, you could add spaces in between. Right? I don't think it's necessary. Maybe a space between my bill tracker and my company would be nice. Okay? And then I'm going to go ahead and at the very bottom, click OK. And that's how you customize the icon bar. Okay? Any questions there? Okay, I think we're coming up to the 5-minute mark.
We have 2 minutes.
2 minutes. Okay, let me go ahead and pause this real quick. Okay. So from where we left off, right? That was exactly how we actually customize our icon bar. Okay. Now again, especially when you're trying to look at the way QuickBooks is built for you already, if you are a beginner type of user, you're most likely going to spend majority of your time on the home page anyways. But the icon bar, right? If there's a cool couple of features on there, such as you can have a calculator. So instead of having you punch a calculator separately, you can actually have it done manually on here. So that's what the cool thing about the icon bar is, that there's also other features that you can actually do more or so on QuickBooks that you can't necessarily do on the home page. And here's a great example. You can actually create custom reports and place it onto your icon bar. And that's exactly what we're going to cover over right now. Okay? So this is a pretty cool new feature that I thought it was awesome. Okay? Is that you can create custom reports on the icon bar, and you can pretty much add stuff to it. And that's exactly what this add stuff to is. So in this case, we're going to create a report, and what we're going to do is we're going to create a customer report, and we're going to stick it onto our icon bar. Okay? So let's go ahead and take a look at that. So first things first is we're kind of diving on a little too early here because since we're jumping forward into chapter 7, chapter 6 is all about reports. So in this case, we're taking a little glimpse in the future. Okay? So here we're going to go ahead and just create that report. We're going to go to reports. We're going to go to list. All right, and then we're going to create the customer phone list. Okay, I think that's the one that we're doing, the customer phone list. Or no, yes, I think we're doing the customer phone list. Okay.
Customer and vendor list, 'cause I have here.
It should be customer phone list.
Phone list is on
Okay.
62 of the page.
Yep, customer phone list. So here you go. Right? Once you've done your report, right, there's a few things that you can do. You can have, we'll talk about reports in 3 weeks from now, right? So the book tells you that once you run your report, what you're going to essentially do is you're going to try to save this report onto your you're going to try to add this report and add it to the icon. So first we're going to do is we're going to run the report, and then on the right click, hold on, customizing. Okay, so here we're doing the customer report. So here we got the report. Okay, now let's see what the book says. So once you've done that, you're going to actually click on this button that says right here that you're going to modify or customize the report, okay? So again, this is going to be something that we're supposed to be learning in chapter 6. So this is something that you're going to be looking kind of in the future for. So we're going to actually customize it, okay? Now, how do we customize it? It's straightforward, right? What things do you want to appear on there? What other things that you want to have on there? So we want to have the customer balance information on there. Okay, so here you go, balance total. All right, and I'm gonna click OK. And so now every time I run this report, what I do want to do is I want to make it easy enough for me to access this file by just clicking it on the icon bar and being able to place it onto my icon bar, so I'm able to create it. So there you go. Now I have it. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and go to View menu bar. Okay, so View on the menu bar, and I'm going to click on this feature that says View, and it says Add Customers Report List. Okay, onto the icon bar. Once I click that, now it's gonna appear that same customizing the icon bar folder or thing, and now I have customer phone number. Now, of course, I don't want like customer phone number on their list. I want it to say customer balance report. Oh, okay, customer balance report. Okay, and the description here is going to be customer custom. Okay, and I'm going to click OK. So now if I scroll down at the very bottom of here, now I have a customer balance report. So every time I click on it, it's going to make my report just like this. So if I want to go here, right, and I want a customer balance report, I think I accidentally clicked bank fee, excuse me. So if I want a customer balance report, boom, it can create it in a click of a button. So I think this is going to probably be one of the most useful things here that you can customize your icon bar for, because here you can gather information in the click of a button. Instead of using the icon bar to get to the customer center or the vendor center, this is the best way that you can maximize the usage of your icon bar, is creating reports that you can click in the click of a button. And that is called the add-on feature, okay? So that's what's really cool about that. Are any questions there?
I don't.
Okay. All right. So that is so cool, right? Now, another thing that you could also too see here is that you have what's called an open windows list. Now, once again, taking a look at my window here, if I just go ahead and glance real quick, I can see that I have a few things that are here. So here's my open windows. So if I go ahead and click on that, it's going to show me a list of all the windows that I have open right now. Okay, or it's going to show me all the windows that I have right now. So right now I only have one window open, which is this one. But let's say I have, I were to create, let's see. So here it shows me that I have the customer phone list up. I have the customer phone list up. I have the QuickBooks product information. I have the phone list up again. So this is the windows that I have up right now currently. Okay, and again, I have the home page as well. So this is basically it's like a quick access tool where you can get to the windows that you need. So if I want to go to the home page quickly, I just click on there and it will pop up that's what I currently have open as my multiple windows section. Okay, I have a bunch of reports up and I have the home page up and etc. etc. So that's what the open windows does for you. Is it allows you to if you're using one window or single window preferences, this way you could toggle back and forth between your windows instead of having to close them out. You could view what you have up currently and you're able to access it quicker through this section here. Okay, and that's it for that one. Okay. Any questions so far?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Okay, so next thing I'm going to talk to you guys about is going to be how you can customize your menu bar. Okay. The menu bar, as we've seen it before, we talked about it in chapter 1. We talked about it in chapter 1, how the menu bar is basically a list of every single transaction that exists in QuickBooks. Okay, so if I go to my company profile or I'm on the wrong one, customers menu bar. This is the list of all the transactions I can do for a customer, right? I can create estimates, I can create sales orders, I can create invoices, right? If I go to my vendors, I can enter bills, pay bills, okay? If I go to my employees, I can pay my employees, I can enter in their timesheets, etc., right? Every single menu that you have here is going to be essentially every single transaction that exists in QuickBooks, okay? Now, here's one thing that you need to know. You cannot change or customize anything on the menu bar, okay? Once again, you cannot customize or change anything on the menu bar except for one thing, and one thing is the favorites menu. Now, I don't understand why this is also going to be someone that would use a favorites menu, because essentially it might be just easier if you could just go to the corresponding, let's say I want to enter in a bill, right? I just go to vendors menu and enter a bill, right? I can see that when people are frequently using a specific transaction and they don't want to have to go through, for example, I don't want to have to go through the vendors menu just to enter a bill, or if I don't have my home page, right? I can easily do that by just clicking on the favorites menu, right? It just makes it that much more easier to get to a transaction instead of having to go through company, having to dig through all of these, have to go read every single one to locate where a transaction could possibly be. It'd be easier if you just go to the favorites menu and it'd be right there, right? But once again, I personally don't see it necessary to have a favorites menu when you can essentially be able to do every single transaction via just going through every single menu. But in this case, this is just to make it easier for someone to just go ahead and enter in a transaction without having to dig through all that information. Now, for any reason, let's say you don't actually see my favorites menu or you want to hide it, you can simply do that by also going to the view, and you can click on this little tab right here that says favorites menu, and it will disappear. So, you know, just to make it so then you don't have an extra tab for no reason. Okay. But once again, if I want to display it, I just go ahead and go to view and click on favorites menu, and now it appears. Now this one's the easiest one because there's only one way to customize your favorites menu, and that's simple. You click on favorites, the first thing you have there is to customize it. Okay. Now once again, I can customize it by selecting every single transaction that you have on the menu bar and basically transferring it over into your own custom list of transactions that you tend to preferably do, or you just like to have, you know, a quick and easy access to it. Okay, so I think for me, I'm going to go ahead and say, well, the chart of accounts is always important. So I'm going to go ahead and click on it, and on the middle section, you have add, right? So here I'm creating my favorites menu, okay? By clicking and saying, I want to have this on my favorites menu, okay? Let's see, right? This is a list of everything, and guess what? It is in order by the actual menu itself. So the next menu that we have here is accountant. Definitely I would like to have, let's see, for the accountant, nothing really speaks out to me. Let me see. Documents, you want to have documents, you can have a calendar, okay? Or what I really want to do is let me go to the help menu, because I think being able to have access to be able to ask an accountant is important. I'm looking for it right now. But in other words, you're essentially going through every single transaction under the menu bar, and you're just creating another list, so it just makes it so much easier for you to locate without having to go through all these items here. Okay, I'm going to try to look accounting. Okay, maybe an accounting journal, adjustment journals seems easy, or a general journal or general ledger account would be awesome. Okay, I don't know. I'm just going through all this things that I think that could be necessary. But once again, I think these three are good for now. I can't find that the accountant button, but that's okay. Oh, here you go. Ask Intuit. I have Ask Intuit. Ooh, nice. All right. Yep, okay, that's good. That's good enough. Ask Intuit. Add. All right. And see here with this one's a little different because there is no black diamond that you can move the items across up or down, right? In this case, you would actually have to select it. So let's say Ask Intuit. I think I want that to be right after my chart of accounts. Actually, I think that should be the very first thing I have on there. Okay. Then I want my chart of accounts, then my calendar, then my general ledger. I think that looks perfect. Okay. And then I'm going to click OK. And what you're going to see here is that the next time you go to my favorites menu, it's going to be exactly how I was talking about earlier. I have the transactions here. Okay. Now, once again, use this for transactions that are more buried or more hidden because you'll get the better use of this favorites menu. But for example, my chart of accounts, if I put my chart of accounts here, I don't know how hard is it to just go to list and go to chart of accounts. You know, it's right there. Okay, so that's why favorites menu could be useful for you, especially if you don't want to dig through like just earlier. I don't want to dig through the help to find the Ask Intuit, or I don't want to go to company just to dig for my general ledger, or I don't want to dig through my reports to find my general ledger. It's easy. It could be easily done right here through my favorites menu. Okay. So once again, you cannot edit or customize anything on the menu bar. The only thing that you can do is add a favorites menu, which just essentially is taking all the transactions that are on the menu bar and just creating another list to make it easier for you to find. Okay. Any questions there? No questions? All right. So we are coming up right now. It is almost 3 o'clock. All right, right now it's 2:50. So let's go ahead and take our 15-minute break now. What we're going to do, I'm going to post another link for